people, black people, all coming together, seemingly coming out of the woodwork to clean up the mess and the devastation that was left behind by the rioting and the violence. Right now, at a neighborhood in Los Angeles known as Koreatown, there's a peace rally and march going on. We understand there are several thousand people at this rally, and it had several themes. One was urging an end to the violence, all the violence here in Los Angeles. Another was the overall theme of peace, of unity, trying to bring this battered community back together. And then a few people in the march were complaining about the Los Angeles Police Department, specifically wanting to know why it took them so long to react to the events and the violence here. That, however, was a small minority of the marchers. Most of them were just asking for an end to the violence and bringing about a settlement of the conflict here. As we said, cleanups like this are going on all over the city, and that is the big story here right now. CNN's Don Knapp has more on that.
The work is immense. Debris of nearly 1,000 buildings riddles Los Angeles neighborhoods. But volunteers, many from neighborhoods that were untouched by disturbances, spent Saturday cleaning up.
We came from Culver City.
Why?
To help. I mean, this is where we live, Los Angeles, and we want to keep it clean. It's horrible what everybody did.
And I came down here primarily to show them that they're not to think of white people as totally insensitive.
Saturday was the first time many shoppers in the affected areas were able to find grocery stores open. Some shop owners began to take down the boards that covered their windows. Others were still afraid, but paying the rent was more important than worrying about whether the violence had ended.
I don't know if people are coming back or what. We feel danger. We feel afraid. But we have to be open.
Looters took what they wanted Thursday from this warehouse record store. Owners were back Saturday trying to clean up. Contributions poured into the First AME Church for neighborhoods that have been without power for nearly 2 days.
People are bringing, other churches, synagogues are bringing food that they have bought in the grocery stores in the outer areas. They have brought it in to First AME, and then we are dispersing it to the other families.
There are no gas stations for this neighborhood, no convenience stores. For 2 days, people here have gone without power for refrigerators or lights at night. Many were already unemployed or on welfare. Even if they managed to get checks from the damaged post offices, it's very difficult to get them cashed. So for now, they're dependent on the gifts of others. People here are hopeful the recovery won't end just for the community getting back to square one. But the talk of training and jobs and a better life for the people here will become reality. Don Knapp, CNN, Los Angeles.
And here in riot-ravaged South Central Los Angeles, as you can see, people of all races and creeds are getting together to clean this up. Now, this is a scene we have seen repeated across this city. We've been to several different neighborhoods today. There are groups like this that have seemingly sprang out of the woodwork, armed with brooms and shovels, cleaning up the devastation left by the riot. Now, there's one, police describe it as a small problem going on at Los Angeles City Hall. There are about, as we understood, 150 or so protesters. There were 200 or so L.A. police officers, plus National Guard troops. We understand 75 to 80 of those protesters have been arrested, but compared with the violence that visited this city for the past few nights, that was nothing. And as the people here say, this is the story right now, the fact that people have come together to clean this up, and they're hoping that they won't ever have to do it again. Charles Jaco, CNN, reporting live from Los Angeles.
And a look at the violence in Los Angeles now by the numbers. The county coroner's office says 44 people have been killed in 3 days since the beating case verdict. The injury count stands at 1,984. That includes 3 firefighters who were shot and 22 law enforcement officers hurt. Nearly 200 of the injured are in critical condition. 6,720 people have been arrested. As of this afternoon, about 6,000 of them remain in custody. And the cost of the violent spree is estimated to be more than $500 million, and it's rising. The verdict and the resulting violence have renewed questions about racism, authority, and the way people express their anger. A new CNN Time poll asked questions on those topics to more than 1,000 Americans 1 day after the verdict. Nearly 800 whites were polled, 200 blacks. People were asked about their everyday encounters with police and if they felt they were at risk of being treated unfairly. An overwhelming majority of whites, 72%, say they do not fear police. But nearly half of the blacks polled said they do fear police treatment. Police also were asked, people rather also were asked, how much violence they felt was justified following the verdict and to what degree. Across racial lines, people agreed the violence was completely or somewhat unjustified, but 29% of the blacks questioned said it was justified, while 18% of the whites agreed. Because of the different numbers of whites and blacks polled, the margin of error for whites is plus or minus 3.5 percentage points, and it is 7 percentage points for blacks.
Just ahead on Early Prime, Democratic presidential frontrunner Bill Clinton says sending in troops isn't enough. Clinton urges President Bush to tackle the troubles that led to the days of rage in Los Angeles.
Calm returns after the angry storm that spread from L.A. across the United States. Police have arrested hundreds of demonstrators from Seattle to New York in the wake of the Rodney King beating case verdict.
The cleanup begins in L.A.'s burned-out neighborhoods, and help pours in, some from Hollywood stars.
CNN's Early Prime, news and information for people in the prime of life. This is CNN.
The burning, I think, was really, we got out of hand. That was crazy on that. Now it's time to start rebuilding.
Where thousands once gathered in Los Angeles to riot and loot, today thousands of others gathered to help in the cleanup.
Korean merchants, many victims of the looting, marched for peace and racial harmony. But some blocs say Koreans are part of the problem.
From CNN, this is The World Today with David French in Washington and Andrea Arceneaux at CNN Center in Atlanta.
Thanks for joining us. Much of Los Angeles is trying to heal the wounds of 3 days of violence. People once again are in the streets, but this time to clean up. The cost of the violence has been high. 44 people have been killed. Nearly 2,000 were injured. Police say there have been more than 6,700 arrests, and fire officials estimate property damage at over $500 million and rising. Joining us now with the latest from Los Angeles, CNN's Charles Jaco. Charles.
Well, here in South Central Los Angeles, this was a scene of violence and destruction just a few nights ago. This area we're standing in now used to be a small shopping center, a dry cleaners, a few other stores, and violence has now been replaced by constructive action. As you can see, there are dozens of people here cleaning up this mess. There are people from all over the city of all races who've shown up, and this is not an isolated incident. We've been driving around Los Angeles today and have discovered that in all areas, people have come out to clean up. Some of them are church-sponsored, some are sponsored by other groups. Some have come out on their own to try to clean up this destruction. Excuse me, sir. We just wanted to know, why are you here today doing this?
Oh, I just wanted to do something to help my community, and I just didn't want to sit at home and watch it on TV. Other people were helping. And I was fortunate that they didn't do a lot of damage in my neighborhood, so I used to shop up here, so I felt that it was part of my community just as well as in all over L.A.
Now, did it surprise you that this many people came out this fast? It all started this morning when we were here. This is a pile of rubble, and now it's clean.
I was totally shocked. I didn't know that many people were out to volunteer. So I felt good about it, and I feel good for myself doing it because I feel that I can do something to give something back to the community.
Thank you very much.
All right.
As we said, there are people here from all over. Excuse me, ma'am. Where are you from?
Originally Australia. Hi, Australia.
What made you come out here today to help clean this mess up?
Well, right now I live behind the Orange Curtain in Orange County, and we're less than an hour away, and it could have been us. So many things happen in so many other parts of the world that we can't do anything about. This is something less than an hour from my house. Surely I could come out and clean up.
Now, a lot of people were shocked to see white people, Asians, others working together when normally this is a pretty tough inner-city neighborhood. Did you and your friends have any concerns about that at all?
No. God. Have you seen the National Guard out here? The police? I don't think anything could happen, even if it was planned.
So do you think this helps send a message to people who've been watching this all over the world about Los Angeles and the kind of people who live here?
Well, I've had calls from all over the world, and yeah, everybody's worried about it, but I just hope that this starts everybody to think about the future and to stop the violence and start the communication. We've got to talk to each other.
Thank you very much. The story here has been mostly this today. The cleanup, as we said, has sprung from all over. We've been all over this city today in various neighborhoods. And it's frankly been astonishing to see people seemingly come out of nowhere with shovels, with brooms, moving down streets, cleaning up burnt-out buildings, and then moving on. Now, as was pointed out by some people here earlier, this does not solve the problem, but it may start to foster the kind of communication that may have led to this urban violence in the first place. The latest updates we have on the toll of this, as we said, the latest death count is 44. There are several hundred people who are critically injured, about 6,000 arrested. And the latest information we have on law enforcement is that United States Marines from Camp Pendleton, California, are going to be coming on the streets of Los Angeles to replace some of the National Guard units that have been patrolling here. Mayor Tom Bradley has said the dusk to dawn curfew, the nighttime curfew, will continue at least through Saturday and Sunday, and they're hoping that by Monday, this city that's been ravaged by the worst civil violence in the history of the United States can start to at least crawl back to normal. But for now, right here, it's an amazing scene with people from all over coming to clean up. Charles Jaco, CNN, reporting live from Los Angeles.
Thank you, Charles. The riots